guys, today I'm going to show you how to make a continuous line logo. I have an image that matches the company I have. The company is in charge of memory removal, so I decided to choose a brain. I found a brain that was labeled for reuse on a Google image search, and I put it on Adobe Illustrator. So the first thing I'm going to do is select the pen tool. It's over here on the toolbar. And I just want to make sure that the stroke is going to be big, so I'm going to just go ahead and make it 3 millimeters. I think that's going to be, yeah, see, that's pretty big. You just undo that, undo that. So I'm probably going to do maybe a little smaller. And then I wanted to make sure that the line was something I would be able to see. I'm actually going to change this to probably a bright blue so you guys can really see what I'm doing. And then I'm going to make sure there's no fill, so it has that red line through it. So now that I've done that, I can start tracing my brain. To do that, I'm going to find a good starting point. I actually think down here is a really good point to start at. So what you're going to do is you're just going to click, and then you're going to click again where you want your line to end. So I just made a line from here to here. And then you don't have to be very specific. I'm not going to try to get all the little bumps right here, so I'm just going to go all the way up here. And I'm not going to let go. I'm going to keep holding that click, and I'm going to pull my mouse. See, it makes that long line up here. That is showing me where my curve goes. So I can actually manipulate the way that the curve is going to go and how deep that curve goes. So I'm going to release now because it has pretty much perfectly outlined the brain. And then you need to click on that line that you made. It'll have this little triangle appear on the cursor. So I'm just going to click. And that makes it so that it doesn't try to recreate this curve. So I'll show you what happens whenever you don't click. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to drag it out, and I didn't click. So now whenever I try to click again, see how there's this blue curve here? I can't do anything to change that. It's trying to continue this curve. So I'm just going to go back here, and I'm going to click so it goes away. So again, I don't want all of these little details. This is supposed to be a very simple design. So I'm actually just going to go all the way up here. This feels like a good place, and I am going to outline that as closely as I feel it needs to be. And then I am going to go over here, and I'm just going to finish this outline to show you guys really what I am going to do for this. And then what I'm going to do after I'm done with the outline is I am going to just highlight some of the parts that I think are important on the inside of this brain that'll really make it look like a brain to someone who's trying to choose this company for their business. And then I am not going to finish this circle. If I wanted to finish this brain and make this one image, I would click here. See, that little circle appears on my cursor, but I don't want that to happen because I want this to be a continuous line. One line makes the entire thing. Now I'm going to just go in and I'm going to find some places that I really like. This is what you guys can do. It's all based on your opinion, how you think things should look. I'm just going to go around and kind of trace the curves on this brain that I find interesting. It really does not matter. Obviously, I don't need a full trace of this brain for you to know that it's a brain. So one thing you need to remember about Illustrator is that you don't need to make separate layers when you're working here. So I didn't make a separate layer for my pen trace that I'm doing on top of this image. And then when I'm done, I don't actually have to then go in and try to erase the brain underneath the line because I didn't make a layer. It'll all just be separate layers. That's a nice thing. The bad thing about that is that I can't go back in and change something after I've finished it. So you really have to know what you're doing. And you'll see I'm kind of making it, it almost looks like a maze is the way that it is going to turn out because you're just going from the outside. So if you want to think of it as a maze, I think that actually helps me because it makes me want to try to make it more intricate, and it also makes it a little bit more visually interesting. You might want to try focusing on that. And you'll see I'm just making random curves here. Sometimes I'm tracing one of the lines that I see. I chose a very illustrated image, so I didn't really need to pick out lines. There are so many lines for me to choose from in this image. It's not a photograph, and that's really helped. So I'm going to decide that this is done. And what you do with this, since you can't actually finish it, look, I have this long line, you know, this is not something you want just hanging out in your logo. I'm going to hit Z to undo that, Control Z, and I'm just going to go over here to this cursor button, click on that, and I'm done. And then you'll see I can click on the brush and pull it over, and there is my traced logo. And then my company's name is actually Lacuna, so I'm just going to type in here, Lacuna Inc., I think it is, and I chose my font ahead of time, so what I am going to do is I'm going to highlight it, and I'm going to go up here, and the reason I chose this font is because my company is kind of old school with the way that they want to present themselves, and so I chose a font that really, it showed that, but at the same time it was kind of modern. This Engravers really has that feel to it. So I'm going to then select it, and I'm going to hit Shift while I drag it to make it bigger. And I'm going to put that smack dab in the middle. Obviously you can't see it, so I'm going to drag it down here again. And there you go. Lacuna Inc. Brain logo is done. Thank you so much for watching this, guys. I hope you have fun making your logos.